Would you please call the roll, Kelly?
Chairman Rick Johnson,
Here.
David LaMontagne, not present. Vivian Picard,
Present.
Nicole Cover.
Here.
Donald Bailey.
Here.
Chairman Johnson, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, just a quick reminder on public comment for later in the meeting. Keep your comments to 2 minutes. Please do not address any type of application you or someone else may have. And with that, we'll be glad to listen to you. So, all right. Remember I'm missing something on my agenda here. Okay. All right, we are down to number 4. We need to approve our agenda.
Motion to approve.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to approve the agenda. Is there any comments, additions, subtractions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Present.
No, yes or no?
Oh, I'm sorry. Approved.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next is number 5, approval of the December 21st, 2018 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to approve the minutes from December 21 of 2018. Is there any discussion on those? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Approved.
Nicole Cover.
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Old business, a pre-qualification, application number 1. The chairman moves to rescind, by which the vote counted. It took place on December 21st of 18, to bring this back before the board for discussion. Is there support for that?
Support.
Any discussion? Please call roll.
Vivian Picard,
Support.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay, we have before us then Olive Biosciences, Inc. I believe there was some information we did not have at the last meeting that we do now. And is there wishes of a board member to, for a motion or discussion, whatever?
I would make a motion to not grant pre-qualification status for Olive Biosciences, file number ERGA 18000620, based on new information coming before the board, based on municipality and ability to operate under the current rules.
Is there support?
Support.
And that's a motion to deny pre-qualification, correct?
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, in addition to the municipality authorization where there wasn't any and there was operation that was taking place, when the BMR enforcement agents contacted the owner, the applicant, there were several denials that was taking place before the applicant finally admitted that in fact it was taking place. The honesty and integrity in dealing with the department is going to be paramount for every one of these licensees going forward. And I think that's particularly egregious that when you're caught doing something wrong, instead of falling on the sword, you try to lie to get out of it.
Any other comments?
And we'll just want a statutory provision cited for the reason for the denial as well, if we could get that, please.
4023A, integrity, moral character, reputation of the applicant. 4023, same 4023A, personal and business probity of the applicant. And it's going to take a second to find the municipality.
And I'm willing to amend the motion to include that.
Okay. Is that okay with the support?
Support.
Okay.
For the operating in a municipality without the municipality's authorization, 4022I, the applicant fails to meet other criteria established by rule.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
H.
H.
4022H.
Board determines the applicant is not in compliance with 205, Section 1, which is the municipal authorization.
So I'll amend it to that. Do you need me to re-say it or you have it?
Nope, we have it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll? The motion is to deny Olive Biosciences their application.
Vivian Picard,
Support.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Mr. Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Hate to mention this, but I don't have the greatest voice today, so if you don't hear me, please let me know. And,
You need us to help you?
nope, I'm good. I can't find what I'm looking for at the moment. Here we are.
Because I always have a voice, no problem.
Okay, next on the agenda is new business. And we have a board resolution that the chairman's going to move for support. And just a second, when I get it, I will read it. It's kind of lengthy, so please bear with us. Chairman moves to present this resolution in front of the board for approval. To the Medical Marijuana Licensing Board, resolution on marijuana product access for patients. At a regular scheduled meeting of the Medical Marijuana Licensing Board convened in Lansing, Michigan, the following resolution was adopted, I hope. Whereas, the board is established within the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Department under the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act of 2016 PA 281, with the general responsibility to implement the act, and the board's duties include granting or denying each application for a state operating license, providing for the levy and collection of fines for a violation of the act or rules, and providing oversight of marijuana facilities to the board's inspectors, agents, and auditors for the purpose of conducting investigations into the operation of marijuana facilities as the board considers necessary and proper to ensure compliance with the act and rules, and to protect the overall safety, security, integrity of the operation of the marijuana facilities. And the board's powers include the authority to investigate alleged violations of the act or rules, take appropriate disciplinary action against the licensee, and take disciplinary action as the board considers appropriate to prevent practices that violate the act or rules, and take any other responsible or appropriate action to enforce the act or rules. And therefore, it is resolved that the board will not take disciplinary action against an applicant in the following circumstances. For an applicant temporarily operating for the time period ending March 31st, 2019, the applicant temporarily operates a proposed marijuana facility that would otherwise require a license if either of the following apply. 1, the applicant's proposed facility is within a municipality that adopted an ordinance before December 15th, 2017, but is pending adoption of an ordinance under the act, or the applicant's proposed facility is within a municipality that has adopted an ordinance before December 15th, 2017. The applicant notifies the department within 1 business day of becoming aware of any adverse reaction to a marijuana product sold or transferred, and for purposes of this resolution only, the applicant applied for a license no later than February 15th of 2018. Next, an applicant that does not comply with this resolution shall cease and desist operation and may be subject to penalties and sanctions. And an applicant that is temporarily operating is not guaranteed a license. It's further resolved that the board will not take disciplinary action against a licensee for purchasing marijuana products from either a registered primary caregiver or an applicant temporarily operating in the following circumstances. For a licensed provisioning center, for the time period ending March 31, 2019. First, the licensee obtains patient consent on a form provided by the department prior to selling any marijuana products that have not been tested in full compliance with the law and administrative rules. And the licensee enters all inventory into the statewide monitoring system immediately upon receipt from a caregiver. And the licensee, before any sale or transfer, must verify and confirm with government issued photo identification with the statewide monitoring system that a patient or primary caregiver holds a valid registry identification card. And the licensee enters all sales in the statewide monitoring system. And the licensee determines sales will not exceed daily purchasing limits. And the licensee shall notify the department within 1 business day of becoming aware of any adverse reaction to a marijuana product sold or transferred. For a licensed grower or processor, for the time period ending March 31, 2019, the licensee obtains marijuana products from caregivers, and the licensee enters all inventory into the statewide monitoring system immediately upon receipt, and the licensee only transfers marijuana products that have been tested in full compliance with the law and administrative rules, and the licensee tags or packages all inventory that has been identified in the statewide monitoring system, and the licensee shall notify the department within 1 business day of becoming aware of any adverse reaction to a marijuana product sold or transferred. Signed by Chairman Rick Johnson, the Medical Marijuana Licensing Board, dated today. Is there support for that?
Support.
Discussion? Should be plenty.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of questions on this. For all the licensees that are out there that we have right now, they're at a distinct disadvantage, and for the most of them, for the most part, have done everything correctly and legally, and they've paid their fees, and they are being forced to compete against unlicensed and formerly illegal operations, and actually currently illegal operations under the law, since they haven't been licensed. It seems like we're, again, putting these licensed facilities at a distinct disadvantage. Have we thought about doing anything? I know this resolution came very late last night. I didn't get it in my email till 5 o'clock. I had no idea this was coming. So I know this maybe was hastily put together. I'm quite sure of that. But what are we doing for the licensed facilities that are competing now against unlicensed facilities? That's probably for Director Brisboe.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. It's my belief that I agree with you, Don, by the way, that the licensed facilities, which has not been an easy endeavor to get in place. However, we have several that are now licensed and starting an operation. It's a major department that was created. It's a major event just getting some of these things in place. It's time consuming, and in the last several months, we've done multiple things to be able to help speed that process along. I'm hopeful that by March 31st, that process is speeded along to the effect that if you're not licensed, you're probably going to be in deep trouble. That would be my hope. Can we do some things in the meantime for the legally licensed, lawfully operating facilities? I'm hopeful that maybe by the next meeting, we can have something there. I don't know if that's doable or not, but I would let Director Brisboe maybe speak to that for a second.
Mr. Chairman, and I would like to make a comment too. I think this resolution really takes us back to the intent of the law, and that is to get medicine in the hands of the people who need it. And that is the main reason for this resolution. And I understand what my colleague has said about in terms of the license, looking out for the individuals that are licensed. But our intent is to really look out for the patient and to make sure these patients are receiving the medicine that he or she needs. And that's really the real intent of the resolution.
I appreciate the comments. And I do agree that there's a patient component to it. But I really think it's commerce is what we're talking about. And that's the real issue at hand. Is there were a lot of dispensaries, for instance, that were provisioning centers making a lot of money, some of them over $1 million a month, that are not doing that now. So I think when you drill right down to the real issue, it's a commercial issue. It's driving this. That's my belief. And so for those that have gone through the process and are in that process, it seems like unfair to them that we're allowing them to compete for market share, for sales against unlicensed facilities. That's my concern.
So I would, from the department's perspective, echo Ms. Picard's comments that the overarching intent here is access for patients, and the commercial implications are somewhat a byproduct of how that access for patients is provided for. There are a number of challenges to the industry at the moment, and we're trying to thread the needle here to ensure continued access for patient and give some allowance for those licensed facilities, recognizing the efforts that they've made to become a regulated facility within this market. And that's where our support for the resolution at hand now includes an opportunity for the temporarily operating facilities to continue to provide that access, and also gives an opportunity for regulated facilities to take advantage of that supplemental access to product as well under those parameters, and trying to allow for the success of the market overall to buy a little more time so that it can succeed fully within a regulated market to provide that safe, tested product to patients, which is ultimately the intent of the statute.
And we have to quit penalizing for 2008 that didn't get enforced, board wasn't created. I mean, there was a lot of things that wasn't the fault of these people. It was just, it's a new street that we're navigating, and other boards have had to make temporary rules that deal with situations to get us through a short period of time. It doesn't mean that they're, making millions of dollars, that we always don't want to assume negative intent or that they're guilty until proven innocent all the time. And I think the board does too much making, they're assuming, we're making a lot of assumptions, but let's just let the licensees come and put forth a good effort and give them rules that they can live by that doesn't force them to do things that are illegal or lack of integrity.
Is there something we can do for the licensees? For instance, March 31st, we have some that were probably fully licensed in July, maybe? Would that be accurate?
The first licenses were issued in July of 2018.
Yep, that's what I'm asking. July of 2018. And they competed then against unlicensed facilities and continue up until, if we pass this resolution, until March 31st, April 1st. Can we move their application date so they haven't lost that 6, 8, 10 months, depending on when they got their license, to coincide with April 1st, the sunset on this thing? It would seem that would be a fair resolution to the licensees.
I think as the chairman alluded to, there can always be conversations about other mechanisms that may be put in place. To do that on the fly without considering all the potential repercussions, I don't think would be prudent at the moment. But we can certainly look into that. As I said, in the resolution, the entire second statement, starting with "it is further resolved," is entirely to provide an opportunity for licensed facilities to take advantage of the availability of caregiver product under certain circumstances.
And the other question I had, the confusion I had, was having a patient sign a form saying it wasn't tested, but I thought there was also a wording that, or are we going back on that all product had to be tested?
The current resolution before the board requires the patient acknowledgement for product that hasn't been tested. So that's if the provisioning center sells the product and it hasn't been fully tested in compliance with state requirements, then the acknowledgement form from the patient is required.
Okay, and so going forward from today, if this resolution passes until April 1st, the provisioning center can still purchase and sell untested product, as long as they have this form signed.
They could purchase the product from the caregiver. They could sell it without completing the full battery of tests, as long as the acknowledgement form was signed by a patient. Yes.
When you say full battery of tests, is there some test that will be required even at that?
Not required, but they may engage in a certain amount of
They may.
testing. So what we want to make sure is that the patient is aware what testing has been completed, what hasn't, and then there are statements on the acknowledgement form about the potential health implications and their assignment of that, their presumption of that risk. And we also include information. I'm sort of stealing my own thunder from later what I was going to talk about, but patients and caregivers can also have product tested at state licensed safety compliance facilities. So if they chose to get it tested on their own, we make them aware that they can do that as well.
And again, it's maybe a comment for your conversation later in the meeting, but there were some recalls, and was that caregiver product or was that commercial facility product that had failures?
The majority of it was caregiver product, but I think of the 3 recalls, there was some that was also regulated product.
Thank
Andrew,
you.
can we make sure that on that form, there is a note that individuals can go to certain locations to get the products tested if they choose to?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? It's my desire and hope that by March 31st, we'll be in a complete licensed, regulated medical marijuana process. What I'm saying is to all of you that are getting a new license or have gotten a license, get in gear and get this stuff produced for the patients, because we're not going to stand by and not allow them to be taken care of. That's what this purpose is for. It's called medical marijuana for a reason. And we're going to take care of the patients. And on the 31st of March, I'm hopeful that you all will be in a position to at least help along in that process. With that, go ahead and call the roll.
And the motion is to adopt the resolution.
That's correct.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Okay, on to new business number 7, pre-qualification applications. We're going to start with number 1, Old Dune Farm LLC. Somewhere, I'm looking for, where is my, that's all resolutions. No, I've got all that. I'm looking for, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
You ready?
Yep, we're ready.
I would move that Old Dune Farm has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported to pre-qualify Old Dune Farm. Hope I'm saying that right. For a pre-qualification for a grower Class A pre-qualification. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Next, number 2 applicant is Windsor Township OG LLC for pre-qualification for a 6 Class C grows, 3 provisioning centers, and a processor. Feeling of the board.
I move that Windsor Township OG LLC has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Is there support?
Support.
Okay, it's moved and supported to grant pre-qualification to applicant Windsor Township. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, applicant number 3. HKM Group LLC for pre-qualification of a provisioning center.
Mr. Chair, I move to deny AFG Hush of Cush.
Oh, it's HK.
And,
HKM?
oh, I'm sorry, I have the wrong one.
Oh, okay.
I move to grant, I'm sorry, to grant. Mhm.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, it's moved and supported to grant HKM Group LLC pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 4. Please not pronounce this the way they like, but it's PETA Investments LLC, pre-qualification for a Class C grow, a processor, and a provisioning center.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Patia Investments LLC has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported to grant Patia, is that correct?
Mhm.
I'm thinking your word for it.
We'll take it.
Investments LLC.
Sounds
Hey.
better than what you said.
Yeah, I'm a farmer. You know the relevance of that.
Mm.
So, pre-qualification for PETA, and their
Patia?
Patia for a Class C process and provisioning center. If there's no further discussion, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay, next is number 6. Live Wellness Center, LLC.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Number
Oh,
5.
I'm sorry. I marked it ahead of time.
It's okay.
The applicant is AFG Cush LLC for a pre-qualification. The facility type is a provisioning center.
Mr. Chair, I would move to deny AFG Cush LLC's application, not qualified for pre-qualification based on 4023A, financial ability and experience to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. Section 4023A is an apple, responsibility or means to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. And section 4023C is in cat, the sources and total amount of the applicant's capitalization to operate and maintain the proposed marijuana facility. We noted that the sources of capital provided do not establish a reliable means for the operation of a facility under the Act, and they failed to provide adequate records to support their financial account transactions.
Okay, is there support for that?
Support.
It's been moved and supported to deny applicant AFG Cush LLC. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay, number 6, Live Wellness Center LLC for a pre-qualification of a provisioning center.
Mr. Chair, I move that LIV Wellness Center LLC has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Is there support?
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported to grant Live Wellness Center a pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes?
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
thank you. Next, number 7, the applicant is Premier Specialized Logistics LLC. The pre-qualification is for a secured transporter.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, go ahead.
Move to support pre-qualification status for Premier Specialized Logistics.
Second.
Moved and supported to support Premier Specialized Logistics for a pre-qualification for a secured transporter. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 8, Midwest Innovative Surgical, Inc., a pre-qualification for a Class A grow.
Mr. Chair, I move that Midwest Innovative Surgical, Inc. has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to grant Midwest Innovation Surgical, Inc. a pre-qualification for Class A grow. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 9, the applicant is Green STEM LLC. It's for a pre-qualification of a Class C grow and a processor. Go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Chair, move to grant Green Sturm pre-qualification status for pending application.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported for applicant Green STEM to be pre-qualified for a Class C grow and a process. Any more discussion? Please call roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
Number 10, the applicant is Lapeer LLC, pre-qualification for a provisioning center.
Mr. Chair, I move that Pure Lapeer LLC has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Is there support?
Support.
Support.
Moved and supported to grant applicant Lapeer LLC a pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
Number 11, the applicant is Alternative RX LLC, pre-qualification for a provisioning center.
Mr. Chair, I move that Alternative RX LLC has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Is there support? I'll support it. I have a quick question, and Nicole, you may be able to answer this. I've always thought you couldn't use RX unless it was a pharmacy type drug or something. Is that true, or? I mean, this doesn't really matter as far as the
I don't know
applicant.
about RX. I think it would be the word pharmacy
Right.
essentially, but
that
RX
it?
is a little bit different.
We checked the statute to
Did
make
you
sure
that?
that that was not a
Okay.
violation.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving you.
I am an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice either.
Okay. All right,
I'm a
the,
pharmacist, and I tell you, I think it's pharmacy. So.
is that what it is? Okay. All right, the motion is to grant applicant Alternative RX LLC a pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Is there any more discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Applicant number 12 is A&H Partners LLC, pre-qualification for a Class C grow.
Mr. Chair, I move that A&H Partners LLC has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Is there support? No support? Okay, motion fails for lack of support. And any other wishes of the board on A&H Partners?
I support it to get the discussion going.
Okay, so you're gonna,
Mhm.
is, Nicole, do you want to make your motion then?
Motion to discuss or motion? The same.
I thought did you want to support her motion?
Yes,
Yeah.
support.
Okay, your motion to pass.
Okay. I move that A&H Partners LLC has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Support?
Support.
Okay, it's moved and supported for applicant A&H Partners to be granted a pre-qualification for a Class C grow. Open for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, there's a managing member of this application who had a pretty serious and heinous crime, in my opinion, that was disclosed. I'm sorry, was that disclosed?
No.
It was not disclosed.
Not
It was,
I have them not disclosed.
it was not disclosed, and the nature of that offense is pretty heinous. And for that reason, I wouldn't support this application for a license.
Any other discussion? Okay, the motion is to grant A&H Partners a pre-qualification for Class C. Hearing no more discussion, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
No.
Nicole Cover,
No.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
No.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 noes. Motion fails.
Is there any other motion by the board? We need a denial motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to deny pre-qualification status for A&H Partners LLC under Section 4023A, the integrity, moral character, and reputation of a person who is directly or indirectly controlled by the applicant, or by a person who is directly or indirectly controls the applicant. The personal and business probity of the applicant.
Is there support for that?
Support.
Moved and supported to deny A&H Partners a pre-qualification for Class C. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll. The vote is to deny.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 13 is Pure Roots LLC. Pre-qualification for a Class C, a processor, and a provisioning center. What's wishes?
Motion to approve
Is there,
or grant
Mhm.
pre-qualification.
is there support?
Second.
Moved and supported to grant Pure Roots LLC a pre-qualification for a Class C grow, processor, and a provisioning center. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
Number 14, 116 Bridge Street LLC for pre-qualification of a Class C grow. Any,
Move to grant pre-qualification status to 116 Bridge Street. for
It-
growth.
is there a support? I'll support it. Go on here. It's been moved and supported to grant 116 Bridge Street LLC a pre-qualification for a Class C. Open for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, in dealing with the products that we're dealing with, marijuana and the concentrates and such, in line with that, there was an investigation in a case by the Michigan State Police Tobacco Tax Team in 2011 for selling synthetic marijuana, which obviously is a distinct problem that we have across the country, not just in Michigan. And it was being sold the product was being sold as synthetic marijuana, but as is the case with so much of this product that's out there, there's no testing. And so when the state police did their investigation and they seized the product, they sent it to the lab. While they thought it was actually being sold as synthetic marijuana, it came back no controlled substances. So that's kind of the ultimate buyer beware. But at least no one got sick off of that stuff. But that's exactly in the wheelhouse of what we're dealing with here with the regulation of this product. these are regulations that have to be, religiously adhered to, and we're going to rely on people to do that on their own.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to grant applicant 116 Bridge Street LLC pre-qualification for a Class C grow. Please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
Okay, number 15, Security Management Logistics LLC pre-qualification for a secure transporter.
Motion to grant license to security, pre-qualification to security management and logistics.
It's moved and supported to grant Security Management Logistics a pre-qualification for a secure transporter. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 16, Epic Gardens LLC, pre-qualification for a grower Class B, a grower Class C. What's the wishes?
Motion to grant pre-qualification status to Epic Gardens.
Support.
Moved and supported to grant applicant Epic Gardens LLC a Class B and a Class C pre-qualification. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 17 is for applicant Glemi Inc., I believe is how it's pronounced, a pre-qualification for a secure transporter.
Mr. Chairman, before we make a motion, I got a question, if I could, for Ms. Jordan regarding the applicant RO. My notes say 2 undisclosed arrests, but in an explanation, he claims that it wasn't him. Do we know definitively whether that's the case or not?
I don't believe there was a way to verify that, and without being able to verify that it was valid against him, we don't hold that against someone.
Okay. We did attempt to verify it.
Yes.
I think it said that.
Wishes of the board on applicant Glemi Inc. for secure transport.
Motion to
Pre-qual.
grant.
Is there support? I'll support it. Moved and supported to pre-qualify Glemi Inc. for a secured transporter. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 18, Willard Street LLC, pre-qualification status for a Class C grow. Wishes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that Willard Street LLC has met pre-qualification status for a Class C grow.
Second.
Moved and supported to grant applicant Willard Street LLC a pre-qualification for Class C grow. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 19, 989 Ventures LLC, pre-qualification for a provisioning center.
Motion to grant.
I'll support.
Second.
Moved and supported to grant applicant 989 Ventures LLC a pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 20, applicant is Western Wellness LLC for a pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Wishes?
Mr. Chair, I move that Western Wellness LLC has pre-qualification status for a pending application.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to grant Western Wellness LLC a pre-qualification status for a provisioning center. Further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Next applicant, 21, is Burdick Investment Group, Inc., pre-qualification for a provisioning center.
Mr. Chair, move to grant pre-qualification status for a provisioning center.
Is there support? I'll support it. Moved and supported to grant applicant Burdick Investment Group, Inc., pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Next, number 22, applicant is Gold Culture Company, LLC, for a pre-qualification for a processor. Wishes?
Move to grant pre-qualification status to Gold Cultural Company.
Is there support?
Second.
Moved and supported to grant Gold Culture Company LLC a pre-qualification for a processor. Discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thanks. 23, applicant is Oak Flint LLC for a pre-qualification, a Class C grow, a processor, and a provisioning center. What's the wishes of our board?
Move to grant pre-qualification status for all 3 to Oak Flint.
Is there support? I'll support it. Is there discussion? No discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
24, the applicant is 3967 Euclid LLC, pre-qualification status for a provisioning center.
Mr. Chair, move to grant pre-qualification status to Euclid.
Is there support?
Second.
Moved and supported to grant 3967 Euclid LLC a pre-qualification status for provisioning center. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this is an application that has come back to us after a denial where an applicant was dropped. And one of the issues was personal and business probity, 4023A and 4023C, source and total amount of applicant's capitalization. In my review, I think those issues remain. And regarding the applicant, the sole applicant now, GS. There was a $219,000 DEA seizure in 2013. of funds at the airport. And that's a tax evasion, money laundering, bulk cash smuggling kind of a case. In the tax returns, there was an income. It was very small, less than $20,000. The next year it skyrocketed to 1.5 million, and the year after that 2.7 million. And there was talk about loaning money to gamblers, to high stakes gamblers, significant amounts of money. And I'm sure that probably does take place, but there was no documentation, there's no paperwork to support that. So it's an easy way to explain how you have this money when you don't have to provide documents to support it, which he did not do. I think all the issues that were there on the 10/29 of 2018 denial, I think they still remain for this applicant.
Can we have some legal in terms of whether or not there was any findings based on Don's comment?
Well, we reviewed the application as a whole after the removal of the other applicant, and based on the language in the statute says that the board shall issue to a qualified applicant. We did not find any basis to recommend not approving this applicant for pre-qualification. So our recommendation is pre-qualification.
Was there sales tax paid in this? They were operating, so
We didn't identify any sales tax issues.
no issues there?
No.
Thank you. Any more discussion? The motion is to,
Excuse me, there was no, and also no arrest based on.
There was no arrest of this applicant, correct? There's no criminal history against them being arrested, charged, indicted, dismissed, any of that.
Right.
okay. The motion is to grant 3967 Euclid LLC a pre-qualification for a provisioning center.
And then just one more question, because obviously this is just pre-qualification. If your team were to go in there, or you're somewhat part of this entity, and the applicant that was removed, we find out that they're involved or that they're present, then that's a whole nother can of worms, and that would be
Phase
lack
two.
of moral and integrity character. So
Well, that would be, yeah, that would certainly be the enforcement part, and of course, the inspection, the step 2 investigation. If we found anything that was contrary to what we've been presented so far, we would present that to the board for their consideration.
right, and I want it on the record that we're going to review that, and it's not just we're going to get it by the board, we're going to remove somebody, and then we're going to bring them back in as a silent partner. Like, we're going to be onto that and protect the people, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a key component when we have removal of partners or business associates, to make sure that it's valid,
Absolutely.
ongoing, as well as in the pre-qualification stage.
Not for us to figure out, but us to put on record that it's not going to be tolerated.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, hearing no more discussion, the motion is to approve. Please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 1 no, motion passes.
Okay, number 25, the applicant is Weinberg Family Enterprises LLC, pre-qualification for a Class C grow. Wishes, comments, ready to go? I'll move to grant Weinberg Family Enterprises LLC a pre-qualification for a Class C grow.
I'll second.
Moved and supported. Is there discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll to grant Weinberg Family Enterprises LLC a pre-qualification for a Class C grow. Call roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, motion passes.
thank you. Okay, agenda item number 7C, number 1, the applicant is Peer Green LLC for a state operating license for a Class C grow.
Mr. Chair, I move to grant Pure Green LLC's application for a grower Class C license.
Is there support? It is supported. Moved and supported. Any discussion?
I'll just note that the applicant was pre-qualified in April.
Right. Okay, please call the roll to grant applicant Pure Green LLC a state operating license for a Class C grow.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 2, applicant is Exclusive Brands, and it is for a state operating license. It was pre-qualified on May 31 of 2018.
Mr.
It's
Chair, I
for-
move to grant Exclusive Brands LLC's application for a grower Class C license,
Is there support?
which received pending application for their pre-qualification on May 31st.
Support.
Any discussion? No discussion? Okay, the motion is to approve Exclusive Brands LLC, a operating license for Class C grow. Please call roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
No,
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 3. Number 3 is, the applicant is Morency Brothers Holding Group LLC for a state operating license for a provisioning center.
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there support?
Second.
Moved and supported to grant applicant Morency Brothers Holding Group LLC a state operating license for a provisioning center. Any discussion?
And again, I'll note that this applicant was pre-qualified in October of last year.
Okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 4, the applicant is Caldwell 5540 LLC for a pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center. What are the wishes?
Mr. Chairman, I move that Caldwell 5540 LLC is not qualified for a license, a pre-qualification and license under 4023A, integrity, moral character, reputation, and the personal and business probity of the applicant.
Is there support? I'll support it. Good. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, regarding one of the supplemental applicants on this application, a VA running dispensaries in Colorado without a license. One was in Denver for 1.5 years, Colorado Springs for about 19 months. They were eventually shut down for violations. There was information that was uncovered that the applications were denied. In a response to that, he says that no, they weren't denied. But that's not the information that we have in the report that was in front of us. In addition, there was on the Raymond report, there were a great number of delinquencies in financial accounts. And I think that's going to go to his ability to operate this business in a compliant manner.
Any more discussion? The motion is to deny applicant Coldwell 5540 LLC pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center. Hearing no more discussion, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
No.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 1 no, motion passes.
thank you. Number 5, Wayne PRV Inc. for a pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center. Wish
Motion to approve?
support there? Is there support? Moved and supported to approve applicant Wayne PRV Inc. for a pre-qual and a state operating license for a provisioning center. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this is a temporary operating facility operating under the emergency rules, which included obviously very, very many stipulations on what was to be done and not to be done. And in the BMR, the Bureau of Marijuana Regulation Inspection report from October 24th of 2018, they were selling edibles that weren't in child-resistant packaging. They were selling marijuana product, edible product named Butterfingers, which we all know is a candy bar, unless it's not, unless it's marijuana infused. Those are things that were set in stone as a temporary rule December 4th. And I don't see how anybody entering into this marketplace can say that they didn't know what those rules were. It doesn't make any sense. If you're getting into this, you knew what the rules were. It was financially viable for them to sell that because they, probably sold a lot of it and made a lot of money off it. But that's not why we're here, and that's not why they're supposed to be there, to sell things and to operate outside of our, at the time, the emergency rules and what we have now as rules. So I wouldn't support this application.
Any more discussion?
And, I'm sorry, go on.
Mr. Hanna can come up here, or I can also speak to it, that this is about compliance and there's no violation noted.
There is no violation noted. They were educated into compliance. It was a steep learning curve, just like everybody else that were out there educating and teaching and trying to get applicants and facilities into compliance. Again, there's no violation. We did pass them, and we did as the board asked and document the record of compliance throughout the entire inspection process.
So when you say there was no violation, that's because they're not licensed and you don't have authority. That's why there's no violation.
Again,
If they had a license,
Again,
and they had that Butterfinger, that's a violation.
Again, we educated them into compliance, and we passed their inspection.
So they had the rules for it in October. They had the rules for 10 months, and it took you to tell them what they needed to do.
Again, like other applicants that we go out and we inspect their facilities, we educate them into compliance.
Okay, thank you.
And we've had many of these that we've addressed in the same manner.
Yeah, to be consistent. And then the other thing I would add is I appreciate the detail that you're taking. And I think that we have, as board members, we can't run with that or make assumptions. But by having that detail, if this applicant comes back before us, that detail becomes important because then they're in trouble. Versus you just going in and educating them on the fly and passing them and not giving us that information, it continues to become an issue. So instead of taking the information and using it as a roadblock off the beginning, I appreciate that detail because later on in the discipline process, that's going to become much more consistent and much more fact driven to be able to make accountability at that point. So we have to remember that this is all at the beginning, and instead of using it to say you're guilty until proven innocent, let's educate, let's make everybody heading in the right direction, but hold them accountable. If they come back again, they're out. We're not going to tolerate it. So.
And it's a part of the record, so.
Yep. So I appreciate the detail that you did. Thank you.
And Don, thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
So we have it on our record too.
You're going to hold us accountable. See, that's what you do.
Okay, please call a roll on the approval of applicant Wayne PRV Inc. for pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
thanks. Number 6, the applicant is SJS 11 LLC, and it's for a pre-qualification status and a pending application granted on October 18th for a license for a Class B grow.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve SJS the second LLC, state operating license for a grower Class B.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to grant a license to SJS, I guess that's 11, a state operating license. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 7, the applicant is First Dort Enterprises LLC. It is for a pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to deny both pre-qualification and a state operating license as a provisioning center for First Dort Enterprises LLC based on section 4023A as an apple, the applicant's integrity, moral character, and reputation. As the sole owner of Michigan Grow LLC, applicant BH provides access to a physician, which provides physician certifications under the MMMA. Applicant BH shares in the medical fees paid for those certifications, which is not authorized by the Public Health Code or the Michigan Liability Company Act. Section 4023A, also personal and business probity to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. In section 4023F, the applicant has been served with a complaint or other notice filed with any public body regarding payment of any tax required under federal, state, or local law that has been delinquent for 1 or more years. And that was seen that there is a pattern or history of failure to satisfy business and or tax obligations when due. And I feel very strongly to deny both pre-qualification and state operating license for First Dort Enterprises LLC.
Support.
Support? Okay, moved and supported. Any more discussion? The motion is to deny applicant First Dort Enterprises LLC, both a pre-qual and a state operating license for a provisioning center. Hearing no more discussion, please call the roll.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Okay, we are down to department report. Mr. Director, that would be you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I just want to say on behalf of the Bureau and the Department and the administration, we thank the board for taking that recommended approach and adopting that resolution today. I think it's important that patients need to consider the potential health risks of utilizing untested product. And that statement is included on the patient consent form, which has just been posted to our website. And that patients and caregivers do have an opportunity still to test products through state licensed safety compliance facilities, should they choose to do that. We also would encourage any temporarily operating facilities to utilize the waiver form as well for the education of the patients and the assurance that what the status of those products might be that they're buying. In terms of the statistical update for today, we are now at 935 pre-qualification applications that have been paid for and submitted. 226 of those have been approved and 106 have been denied as of the actions of the meeting today. We do have 61 of those files now that are marked in our system as being inactive. In terms of licenses, we have 37 grower class A, 2 approved, 2 denied. Grower B, 6 submitted, 1 now approved, none denied. Grower Class C, 218 submitted, 29 approved, 4 denied. Processors, 62 submitted, 10 approved, 0 denied. Provisioning centers, 212 submitted, 54 approved, 35 denied. Secure transporters, 14 submitted, 4 approved, 0 denied. And safety compliance facilities, 7 submitted with 4 approved and 0 denied. And we do have 13 inactive applications for the Step 2 licenses as well. And we stand at 109 municipalities still that have opted in with ordinances to allow the facilities under the Act. Since the last meeting, we did issue a couple of advisory bulletins. On the 3rd of January, we issued one about notifications of diversion, theft, loss, or criminal activity, just outlining the requirements for facilities to notify us if any of those things occur. And on the 15th of this month, we issued a sort of summary of the changes to the marijuana laws. Those are the bills that passed during the lame duck session, generally speaking, that are relevant, with a little bit of information and links to those pages on the website. We want to continue to make an effort to educate the industry and all the subscribers to our email blast when changes to the law occur. Ultimately, it is a licensee's responsibility to know those, but we can draw their attention when those changes occur. And that's everything I had. Happy to take any questions from the board.
Any questions for the director?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was short. Okay, public comment. We have one card. Looks like maybe another one. The first one is from Wes Lutz, Choice Labs, I believe it's called.
Good morning. Thank you. I want you to know that I represent 2 provisioning centers, a grow and a processing license for 4. And I applaud the board's initiative to have medicine in the market for the consumer. And I think allowing licensed PCs to buy that product directly from the caregiver is an excellent solution to the problem. We all look out for those consumers. I'm in those provisioning centers every day, and I see the cancer patients and the patients that need that medication. However, there is critical mass today of provisioning centers in the market. The problem we have is not a shortage of licensed provisioning centers, it's a shortage of product, and that problem is that there aren't enough growers to meet the demand. The solution that you've come up with allows provisioning centers that are licensed to buy product from caregivers, but also unlicensed facilities. And if you limit that to licensed facilities, again, there's no shortage of provisioning centers, you would be able to enforce every aspect of the LoRa BMR permanent rules. Existing licensed provisioning centers network can serve the needs of the customer or the patient there now. By allowing unlicensed provisioning centers, and there are 99 licensing facilities that are licensed now, provisioning centers, with the addition of what we did today, about 120. There's another 48 or 45 there in the process. By allowing people that have no license to sell to consumers, this is what you're allowing for the patient. And every one of you said that it was in the interest of the patient. I'm going to tell you what this motion that you passed today is going to do. There's going to be no state oversight of what's being sold or to whom in those unlicensed facilities. There's no oversight of
Your 2 minutes
medical
are
dosage.
about up.
Okay. There's on the packaging. There are no security cameras. You can't verify who you're selling it from. All of the product will be transported illegally, and you have no ability to recall it because there's no way that you can verify what has been sold. And you potentially are sending customers into non-inspected, unsafe facilities. So I would implore you to rethink that decision and limit that patient medication to the people that you've put through the licensing process. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Paul Line.
Hi, I'm Paul Line. I'm a little confused. I got a text mail that said this was going to be about something else, and I showed up here. It was really important to me as a patient and to the other patients. Okay. My understanding is that this was going to be about the type of products being sold and everything, and it was completely wrong of what I was informed. Okay, but sitting here listening to everything, I got to say you guys are doing a good job first. I think it could be improved some. Okay. And I really like to say that I think there should be a separation between the legal use of marijuana that we just voted on, and I had doubts about it myself. Years ago, I've been going to a pain clinic, a pain doctor for 15 years. I've did all the stuff they did, and he finally said, "Paul, I think we need to try something else." I didn't believe him. I seriously didn't believe him. You know, and he said, try these things. But I think there should be a separation between street legal, excuse me for the term, potheads, and the people that really need it. Separate the dispensaries, separate them to have, if we got someone with a legal card, know that they're getting their product that they want and need. Take another dispensary, another way, and separate the, whatever you want to call these people. I'm sure there's many people with these cards that not really need them. And I was afraid that the industry of the medical part of this would be lost in Michigan, that we're not going to be getting quality products and so forth. And I'm, you know, this is the first one I've been up to listen to you. I'd like to come to more and be more involved. But I heard that you were going to limit the edibles and everything, that we can't have edibles. And the edibles are the best way for medical people to get it. They're not hurting themselves smoking and so forth. So if you can consider sometime along the line about maybe separating two classes of dispensaries, because you talk about morals, okay? I don't want to be around a lot of these people that I go to get my CBDs. And I'm sure other people don't either. So why are we trying to mix them all up and change morals aspects here? You know, about morals, you know, you passed one that had one guy that was morally questioned. Just because this guy had morals and everything, and he was associating with other people, and I don't associate people that I don't want to, that people can't be proud of me. But yet you passed it because one person that applied. What about his past morals? You know, but yet he won it. You know, come on. You're talking about these guys $1 million worth of stuff, and yet they find one person that's got morals. Who's really backing this guy? Okay? But please think about the patient more.
We will. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's all we have is two.
Yep, that's all we have.
Okay, anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of comments. I did not share notes with Mr. Lutz before this meeting. We've never spoken.
Mhm.
I knew what you meant.
I just have a comment, and that is to everyone that's listening, and that is that the Department of Law is doing a tremendous amount of work in terms of background checks, et cetera. And when you see the level of material that we get to review and that they put together, trust me, they are crossing every T and dotting every I in terms of doing background checks and making sure that that everything that can be known about these individuals, that we are aware of it. It's paper and paper and paper and paper, and the person is checked from head to foot in terms of anything that they may be involved with. And then, of course, for us as a board, I mean, there's a lot of work for them in terms of putting these applications, and we wish that could be faster, but we want to make sure that everything is accurate and we're doing it in the right way. And then for us as board members, we review this information, and at the end, when we leave here, every time we have a meeting, we leave here and we're very up to date as to everything that's been presented to us. But if you were to see the work that goes into it, the department has a lot of work to put forth before they provide us the application. So feel good that when we get the information, the person has been checked from head to foot. And we applaud and appreciate everyone's patience, but we're moving as quickly as we can.
Good point.
I agree with Vivian. It is an extreme data collection. Everyone who's applied knows that. And every one of us knows that. Everyone at Lara knows that. It is extreme. I do take exception to the degree of a deep analysis of some of that information. Again, after 36 years in law enforcement, I think that's where that comes from. There are question after question that I have, and it's no one's fault other than, number one, the time constraint that the industry has put on everybody, the pressure that's put on Lara to move these things down the pike. Much of this information is getting moved extremely quickly, and that makes for mistakes, and that makes for things that aren't covered as they should be. We talked about photographs of money. I don't see how that could be accepted, but it was, and I think it was a time issue, and it fell through the cracks. I don't think it should have fallen through the cracks, but it did. And regarding Mr. Lutz's comments, I pretty much agree with everything that he said. What we've done with these temporary operations for the past year and a half is we've expanded the black market. It's an unintended consequence, but that's exactly what's happened. And for that black market that we have contributed to, if we think that's going to contract miraculously on April 1st, when this temporary operation expires, it's not. And, law enforcement certainly needs to be prepared, because all of that's going to be outside the scope of Lara and the BMR, because it's a criminal matter. It's not going to retract. It's going to continue to expand. And I think that's going to be an issue for everybody.
Member Bailey,
Go
I'd just like to stop the comment. I think we're going down a road of you making opinions for the board. This is kind of just a.
No, this is
in
my
general.
opinion.
So
Yeah, this is my
I'd
opinion.
just like to call the question. I think it's just going into too much speculation, and I don't think that that's relevant for this meeting. If you want to meet with the department, I fully support that, but I don't think it's appropriate for this venue. So
Motion is
I'd like
to
call the
adjourn. Is there
question, have a
support?
motion to adjourn.
Support.
Okay, please call the roll for adjournment.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.